Yep.
That tribal art is not African, but only an African or somebody who from the tribes that wear that art can tell you it's not African. Anybody else, it's all African. Might not know African. Not that Mike got anything against African. People be saying because we tell you we not African, that means we don't like Africans. And nothing could be further from the truth. We have a long-standing, multi-million year relationship with the continent of Africa. Right? What we don't have is a modern interpretation of us being African outside. We was intermarrying with them. They got more oral traditions in West African culture saying they came from over here than they have oral traditions over here saying that we came from Africa. Before Columbus, that wasn't even a matter of fact. Before the 1900s, that wasn't even a conversation if we was African or not.
Right.
It didn't even become a conversation until probably the 70s, the 60s, when we start accepting the influence of foreign people proclaiming to be us. Look, Fred Sanford, Queen Latifah. All this is known. Which one copper color? Come on now. Stop playing with me. Man say we know the truth now.
It's game over, man. Look.
Can't make stuff like this up, man.
This is one of
on the land. The bloodline.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest pills to swallow to realize that we've been at home the whole time paying somebody to live in our house. We've been paying them to let us live in our house. They got court cases that say the United States do not own the territorial rights. See, territorial rights is a whole nother animal because that's heritable rights, right? And when you look up heritable rights, then they're going to tell you about what's called heirs land. If we was all slaves and we wasn't allowed to buy land, sell land, we wasn't allowed to participate in their banking system, we wasn't allowed to get educated in their school, and how at the turn of the 1900s are we the largest holders of heirs land out of anybody else? How did we inherit the land if we ain't from here? Right? You could do a quick Google search and type in how many acres of heirs land did so-called African Americans have in 1901, and it'll tell you.
Most of the land.
Right? And we still own the land, and now they don't classify it as heirs land no more because of what's called sharecropper squatter rights. The squatter rights is part of the salvage right of the admiralty jurisdiction. That's why they call it squatters' rights. It's not the person who owns it, it's the person who's squatting on it while he's waiting on the salvage team to catalog the property. They call it creating a deed. Right? You want to see something slick? Type in who held the first deed in the United States of America. Look there.
Right.
Africans, huh?
Yeah. Right. These people was over here, man, already.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna type it in my phone while you doing that.
Look, right here.
Yep. I know a whole bunch of sisters look like that know they ain't Africans.
Right. half your family, half people live on watching now got somebody, a cousin or somebody look just like her. I'm telling you. Half the people watching now. I'm telling you. Look at this. Y'all know him. These Americans. That's what the Americans right here, man, look like. Still on the land, still the same people.
Okay, now watch this. Now remember my question, right? The question was who held the first deed of record in the United States?
Go ahead.
Okay, now it's recorded, right? If it's the deed of record, that means that it's recorded, don't it?
Right.
Okay, now listen to what Google say. It is not possible to name a single person who held the first deed of record in the United States. Where the records at?
Go ahead.
Where the records at? Okay, let me go a little farther. As land ownership and recording practices began in different colonies at different times, the initial titles to American land were held by European colonial powers. I told you we didn't need titles and deeds.
We didn't never have that.
Including the British Crown, who was the largest of the ones. And land was granted to settlers through companies and proprietors. You get it? It said here's an overview of the earliest land record practices in the colonies. Plymouth, Massachusetts. Remember we talking about the Plymouth colony, the Virginia colony, Northwest Trading Company? Okay. Yeah. One of the earliest known deeds was recorded in Plymouth in 1627. The settlers known as Pilgrims had already introduced individual land ownership by 1623. What was we doing with the land before that?
That's the Jacobites.
Right? Now, they had the Virginia colony, Jamestown, Virginia. In the Virginia colony, though settled earlier in 1607, did not adopt formal regulations for recording mortgages and registering claims until 1639. So they had been here for years without recording no deeds of land ownership, right?
Right.
It said before that, land grants were made to proprietors who functioned like feudal lords. That means feudal to feud is the root word, which is conflict. They mean warlords, but they call them feudal lords. Right now, the next they have something called the Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1640. This colony enacted a detailed recording act in 1640, requiring documents to be indexed by name, description, and registration of dates. Right? Then the next one, which is the fourth one, a statute of Virginia, 1656, a statute was passed requiring all deeds to be registered in a book at the county courts.
Wow.
Right. Over time, these colonial practices influenced the recording system adopted by other colonies and later American states. See, they're recording these as a state now in the narrative. After the American Revolution, the federal government confiscated land from the British Crown, and Land Ordinance Act of 1785 was passed, creating a legal framework for land ownership and transferring property through land patents.
Wow.
Dude, this is why when they gave Empress Redbird the allodial title, this is the foundational instrument to all of these deeds that they made that claiming was ours. Now they have to give it back. They ran from Empress Verdiasi till she passed over, which left it to the next qualified heritable heir.
Right.
Which gave us Empress Redbird.
Right.
Right. Now, the entirety of Turtle Island, North, Central, and South America, as they call it today, the entirety of that is tribal land.
Go ahead.
In the Indigenous Rights Act, it tells you that we have a right as the tribes to administer or govern over all tribal lands. Right? The exception at the time the document was written was Washington, D.C. because it was considered an embassy. Now it's no longer the Washington, D.C. It's the District of America now, which means that the Republic confiscated it back before they give it back to the tribes. But before he renamed it, we had already staked the total poll to claim it. Remember that?
2012. Go ahead.
Yeah. So now we at the end game. We at full disclosure time.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know how close we is to full disclosure? Follow the Obama situation, and I'm about to show you what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we at the brick here, man, because too many people know it's you can't come on some. I mean, once you hear the truth, you can't get around it. Yeah.
Even if you don't believe it or agree with it, once you heard it, you can't unhear it. Forecasting.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's a place you can look up all of the people that you think is in Hollywood, in DC right now. Mm-hmm. It's a entertainment site of actors, and they tell you what kind of roles they play and all that kind of stuff. So like the instance, the press secretary for Joe Biden, the sister, remember her?
Mm-hmm. Press secretary for Joe Biden.
Yeah. Matter of fact, Gaddy Boy, he just went over the receipt showing I think I shared it on my Facebook. Let me scroll down and look and see. But he was just sharing on his Facebook that she was part of Central. Now remember, Trump been pointing these people out, telling us he's central casting. She's central casting. I'm central casting. They central casting. He'll be great in this role. He's the top guy from central casting. We didn't pay that no attention. The average person didn't, because Trump's reputation for fluff.
Yeah, it's like
right?
say a lot of stuff that he a wild man, he a wild card, he a Trump card,
Yeah. And remember, if you want to catch up real quick and you behind, go watch Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck is Donald the Duck in DC.
Go ahead.
Right? So they was playing that narrative, right? You gotta remember, he just said Barack Obama got caught stone cold.
Yeah.
Right? You heard him say it out the mouth. Okay, now we got to go back to the raising of the ransom or the bounty on the head of Assata Shakur. Right? We got to go back to that, because that was coinciding with the photographs released from Benghazi. Let me show you.
Go ahead.
In the photographs from Benghazi, a very beloved entertainer of ours, who's supposed to be dead, is in the pictures.
Tupac. Hold on, man. I got some pictures too. I said, oh man, come on now.
Public Tupac alive. They tell the public Tupac alive in 2012. Oh man, these YNs is gonna form into an automatic military contingent. Automatically. If the government admit Tupac is alive, why do you think Barack Obama stood on stage and said, "Where's Tupac and Biggie, and they supposed to be dead"?
Yeah.
Why is he doing that? Obama was a dirty Moor.
Go ahead.
And the thing that he's talking about, a lot of people don't remember this, but him and Hillary came out in front of a Moroccan flag.
That's right.
And the reason they didn't tell you the reason, but they was trying to redo the Treaty of Peace and Friendship format to repurchase America, but Morocco didn't have control.
Go ahead.
Right? Morocco was telling them that the only people that they can get control from, because they lost control to the Vatican and to London and the bankers in Switzerland who run the Federal Reserve.
Go ahead.
You gotta remember, when we say that the bankers in Switzerland run the Federal Reserve, nobody over here in America is the chairman of the Federal Reserve, and maybe recently it might have changed. But normally, like Greenspan lived in Israel for his whole tenure. He was the longest reigning Federal Reserve chair.
Go ahead.
And every time the interest rates had to get changed, they had to send him a presidential security to Israel and flying back like he the president to America to give a press release to adjust the interest rates. Most of us didn't pay that no attention.
Man.
Right? Because he was working for the bankers in Switzerland. The banks that they use as the front banks is the World Bank International Monetary Fund, but those are just gateway banks. The big bank is called the Scottish Bank. You got another name to it. Scottish
Bank.
something bank.
It's the same bank they show you in Harry Potter. Let's put that in your brain. The Harry Potter, when he go get his underground with a goat, where all that they open the vaults.
Mm-hmm.
They got in Switzerland. These guys.
Okay, now the bank, the World Bank and International Monetary Fund's owners didn't live there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They had recipients there and some high-ranking board members, but the top owners of IMF, International Monetary Fund, WB, the World Bank, we lived in a place called the Isle of Man.
Go ahead.
The Isle of Man was a small island that they use for diplomatic purposes to keep them concealed while they do all of this dirt.
Mm-hmm.
So Obama got the stand down letter from the Pope. Mm-hmm. We went over that, didn't we, Elder?
Yeah, we got the whole story down.
Okay, now, the reason why the Pope wrote the letter was because Obama was trying to get the Pope to allow them to reconstitute the treaty with Morocco. Now, remember, when the Treaty of Peace and Friendship was signed, there was no country on earth called Morocco.
Go ahead.
There is no ancient Morocco. There was no country before the 1900s, nowhere on earth called Morocco. But there was, out of Spain, something called the Royal Moroccan Company. It was called Rex Al Maroc something, but it translated into English as the Royal Moroccan Company.
Go ahead.
Right? The people of Morocco wasn't called Moors in ancient times. That's modern. But you attach the word ancient to Moor in order to give the illusion that we've been called Moors for eons, and it's not true.
Yeah, I disagree partially with you on that, bro. I think Moor is pretty old, and I already did a whole tape on it. AI did a whole tape on it.
Now you got to remember, M-U-U-R and M-O-O-R is two different words from two different backgrounds with two different etymologies.
In linguistics, O and U is interchangeable.
That's modern Grimm's Law grammar.
Man.
Right? You got to remember that.
Go ahead, Roy.
That's Grimm. Look, Grimm's. Hold on. Do you know who Brother Grimm is?
Never heard of him.
Okay, now, you ever heard of some fairy tales called Grimm's Tales?
Uh-huh.
Well, they started writing the rules for translation in the 1600s. They was the fairy tale writers of the Three Little Bears, which was taken from older writings from Aesop's fables. They reworked them to use different animals based on the geography. Well, it was Grimm's Law says all vowels are interchangeable in translation. but it's more to it than that. The translation had to be from a Semitic language to a non-Semitic language, or an ancient language. It doesn't carry over from French to Spanish, the same as we do from Hebrew to English.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When we wasn't calling ourselves Moor, MOOR, and normally the ones MUUR that you refer to, they call themselves Amaru because they had to preface it. Right? Amaru is the preface of the ones who come from the city of Moor. It's called Amaru. They weren't calling themselves Moor. They would call themselves Amaru, but only when they write it out in the pictographic writing will you see that it was a preface before the MUUR. And most of the time they didn't even refer to themselves as that because the ones who was classified as the royal family referred to themselves as Nagas, Nagas, which became translated as serpent, but that's not what it means. Right? In ancient times, Nagas didn't mean serpent. It meant royal bloodline or royal family. Right? It's just like they think everybody in Kenya was royalty. They wasn't. Everybody over here wasn't royalty. Some of them peasants couldn't wait to sell out the royal families from over here. When you see the word RES, that means royal in Latin. REX, that means royal. Right? So when you say stuff in English, right, when they say Rex 87, the Lord Alpha plan, Rex 87, readiness exercise is what it's short for, but Rex means king.
Yeah.
Lord Alfred became King Alfred. Right? And so they call it Rex 84 when it was actually King Alfred plan. The King Alfred plan was the blueprint to lay out to get rid of us by taking the leadership out of the community by locking them in prisons. It's still right there. You can still read REX-84 written by Oliver North and Poindexter before the Iran-Contra. That's how it came out at.
Yeah, I got a tape on that. I just put
right. It came out during the Iran-Contra, and most of the people used to believe it wasn't true. Mm-hmm. The first people who was teaching it in the Rex 84 program defense was the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam said we had to protect our leaders. This is what the FOI was so instrumental. We got to protect our leaders from the King Alfred plan, is what they was calling it at the time. We didn't know about Rex 84 yet. We thought them brothers was totally batshit crazy. Mm-hmm. We barely knew about COINTELPRO. And if it wasn't for the Nation of Islam pushing for the Freedom of Information Act, we would never have got access to that information. Mm-hmm. So we'll still be fighting in the dark right now. Like most of us don't even know that the legal teams that was handpicked by Elijah Muhammad became the ones who pushed to get the Freedom of Information Act to be able to reveal hidden secrets to the public. We don't know that was Elijah Muhammad pushing some attorneys to do, some civil rights attorneys that y'all thought were part of the NAACP, the Rainbow Coalition, and all of that stuff. We didn't know Elijah had that reach.
Hey, Rod, this the point I want to clear up though, because I can't let it go on without saying all of this. Mm-hmm. Now, you gave me the George Washington challenge. In the George Washington challenge, it says the Moors. I'm gonna do this to the Moors. So like we can say how old they go and all that, but I'm talking we can let's deal with now. The George Washington challenge said they gonna go out to the Moors, stop the Moors from knowing who they gonna be. Am I lying?
No, you're on point. I'm with you.
All right. Now the COINTELPRO operations. You know all about the COINTELPRO, Killer Clowns. Mm-hmm. In their operations, their main study, their library, they got the most information
on the Moors. If they're instrumental in protecting the Federal Reserve, the North Gate, and they studying the Moors, why are they doing it? Why are they doing it?
Okay, first we gotta go back to the George Washington time first.
What we're doing by saying Moor's not that old, it makes it like Moor's not relevant today. When we say Moor's
the Moors are absolutely relevant today, and here's why.
You know what I'm saying, so we got to make that clear too.
Remember we did the catch term. Moor is a catch term.
Yeah, I remember.
Remember that class? Yeah. Okay, now they classify conquistadors, Huguenots, and gentry. That's Spanish, French, and English Negropeans as Moors. They knew we was referred to as Amaru. The translation in the English of the word Amaru is Moor. Mm-hmm. They're not the same people though. So we had to figure out it's a difference between a righteous Moor and a dirty Moor.
Yeah.
If we don't figure this difference out, which is in their literature, by the way, if we don't figure this part out, we gonna always think that we fighting pale faces.
Go ahead.
You get it?
Go ahead. I got that part already. I got the part about the Moor Zionist guys who came the back doors, the Jacobites. They were more.
Yeah, that's just a Johnny come lately faction.
Yeah, it's different Moors, right? It's different
Moors. Right.
Yeah,
even when you go to the legal definition of the word Moor, they're gonna give you a term called a tawny Moor. They're gonna give you a term called a blackamoor, right? And they gonna it's several more of them, but they all classify under the general term Moor.
Mm-hmm.
A tawny Moor and a blackamoor phenotypically don't necessarily look alike. $5 Indian original, right? $5 Indian original. It's the same as a tawny Moor, blackamoor. Mm-hmm. Right. Most of us don't know that the original English that came over here looked like us. Mm-hmm. Right. Most of us don't know that, and most of us don't know that before Christopher Columbus' voyage, that we was already assisting the Irish and the Scots in their wars against the Catholics. We don't know this because it's not taught as part of the curriculum, right? So when we say Moor today, Moor is an absolute relevant term. Under that banner of Moor, though, you got to remember the dirty Moor and the righteous Moor.
Right.
Right? Now, why do we call the righteous Moor? Only because he right. It got nothing to do with that. He's right about who he is and the land he owns. Because all of us not good people. You gotta remember that. All of us is not good people.
Right.
But the dirty Moor has no birthright claim to nothing that's ours. And they try everything they can to convince us that we are the same people while they usurping every attempt of ours to rise. And this is why they murdered Clarence 13X. This is why they infiltrated the Nation of Islam. That alone, the study of the infiltration of the Nation of Islam itself. Remember, Malcolm left and did a press conference and say that the Nation of Islam has been thoroughly infiltrated. Mm-hmm. That means there's a whole lot of infiltrators in there. How can they be infiltrated by Paleface when Paleface ain't there? They not allowed in, has never been allowed to be members. So if they thoroughly infiltrated, what do the infiltrators look like?
Go ahead.
Right? Now, Malcolm was writing, he was dictating the autobiography to Alex Haley after, not before, after he was ousted from the Nation of Islam. Because while he was in the nation, he was so absorbed in doing ministerial work, he didn't have time to sit down with Alex Haley and tell his story. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a direct quote from Malcolm X in the autobiography of Malcolm X in reference to Elijah Muhammad. He said, I will lay down my life for that man, but it's not past tense. It's not past tense. Which takes us to another interview press conference that Malcolm had. When he's naming all of these names of people in the Nation of Islam, and he said that the people in the streets know I'm not telling on nobody. And he said, and the police know I'm not telling on nobody because they told me. And he started naming names. Who he talking to, first of all, is he can't do that. But he can put it in the public domain. And Elijah, a 9.9.9 out of 10, he's seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So now, Malcolm, in his OAAU days, Organization of African American Unity, remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he formed after he left the Nation of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
In them days, with the long beard, he's sitting there telling Elijah Muhammad, because there ain't nobody else for him to be telling. He can call Martin and say, hey, Martin, these are the niggas that infiltrated the nation. Let me give you their name. He couldn't do that with Elijah. Because now he's running a red herring.
Mm.
The red herring is to draw the heat off the messenger. Long enough for him to come up with a contingency plan for the infiltration that's took place in the Nation of Islam. And what Wallace did is what Malcolm was supposed to do. They traded places because Wallace didn't want to die for his daddy. Right? So what happened? Before Malcolm get brought into and they brought up all of the things about the girls and the babies and all that, Wallace already knew, but that wasn't never a point of contention.
Mm-hmm.
Wallace was sent to go to school in the Middle East so he could become Arabized and believe that Islam was being an Arab in America.
Yeah.
And Elijah kept telling everybody the whole time is the Islam that we teach is not the Islam they teach in Mecca. Right?
Uh-huh.
So now he's teaching you these values, principles, and he's getting drugs, addicts off drugs. He's getting pimps out the street. He's getting hoes off the corner. He's getting drug dealers out the trap houses. He's doing all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But because he don't wear jalabia and a turban, his son don't think he's a Muslim.
Mm.
Because he's been indoctrinated by the Arabs.
Right.
Right? Modern Islam from the Middle East is 2% Islam, 98% Arab culture.
Go ahead.
We don't got Arab culture over here, so Elijah couldn't teach you Arab culture because he wasn't no Arab.
Go ahead.
So what did he do? He used the doctrine of the Quran because he knew Shriners was instrumental in our imprisonment. He had already went through his Christian school, so he had already been Reverend Robert Poole already.
Right.
Right? What they called back then a jackleg preacher.
Go ahead.
A storefront preacher. He went from that, okay, now how do I get this information to structure it for my people to be able to snap out of the amnesia? He couldn't get everybody.
So what Master Muhammad come in on that part, like the what do we
Master Muhammad comes in on Masonic code talk.
Okay.
Master Muhammad is the perfect mirror when you're using the law opposites.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Far means to pay the fare or to pay the wages.
Mm-hmm.
Muhammad means the praiseworthy.
That's right.
Right? Now, the most famous picture is he's standing there holding a big ass book in his hand, reading the book.
Mm-hmm.
The message that picture says is study. Right? Now, when you're looking at Elijah Muhammad as the focal point, Fard Muhammad is the mirror. But who is he reflecting? Right? Not until you clairvoyant do you see clear that Claire is the praiseworthy Big Mama. Let that sit for a minute with you, Elder. Not until you clairvoyant do you see clear that Claire is the Muhammad. Right? We know this culturally. When we know our culture, we say, oh, that's a code. But we don't know our culture. Let that white man up there talking about this white man God. Right? But we ain't never been deceived about our culture.
Mm-hmm.
When you go back and listen to the story is Elijah supposed to be drunk on the tracks. What happened next? You remember?
Say what now?
Elijah Muhammad supposed to be drunk on the train tracks.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, now, this is right before his awakening. Claire sent his oldest sons, I think his name was like Hubert or Filbert or something.
Yeah, Hubert. I think it's Hubert.
And Wallace to go get their daddy off the tracks and bring them back home. That's cold talk. That's cold talk. The tracks is the crossroads. Right? If you drunk on the crossroads in ancient times, that was a sacrifice. You sacrifice yourself on the crossroads in order to meet the Baron, Samadhi, the Baron of the crossroad. But only he not gonna answer nobody but the women. Big Mama. If Big Mama didn't sing you, you're not coming off them tracks. You can't go on your own. But if Big Mama sing you, she gonna have to send somebody to come recover your body before you get killed.
Right.
We don't remember the old culture like that. Right? So the mirror opposite of Fard Muhammad is Claire Muhammad. 100% perfect mirror opposite. Right? Pale face, chocolate skin. Right? Man, woman. Right? We never was deceived about God being the great mother.
Right.
Only we went along with the story, but they passed her off as a man when they called her Jesus. And all the time, if we go back to the Greek, we realize that it was Isis the whole time.
And that's why in the Pope office, their secret little room, they got the Black Madonna feeding the baby.
Right. Right.
So if Jesus is God, who Mary? Who the hell is Mary?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I say it all the time. If Jesus is God, Hail Mary, Mother of God, what they make her? She is the God maker. Now we back in masonry, whether we want to be or not. Because soon as you realize who the God maker is, only certain women are God maker. But all of the women that's God makers is heirs. Right? And they can't make a creator God. They can only make a ruler God. Because they the creator God.
Right.
Right? So she can only either create another creator God, a daughter, or she can also create a ruler God, a rightful heir, a son, Heru, right? To ascend to become Usir. The son becomes the father. Right? So all this stuff is understanding your own culture, then none of these stories is going to be the same. The whole Mormon story is going to be different. When you read the Book of Mormon, when you know your culture, it don't even have the same meaning anymore. What was racist in our brains before we remembered our culture is a whole nother paradigm once we recovered our culture in our mind. It's no longer racist. It's understanding the war protocol from a different angle. We've been at war.
The whole
right?
time.
We've been at war, and all warfare is based on deception.
They had to deceive us into thinking we came from Africa. We came on a slave ship. And then once we start putting the numbers together, the numbers don't look right. You can't, like, the numbers didn't look nothing, the numbers don't line up. And so now, you know what, AI, like I told you, I did the AI today, and it said another thing too. It said that the numbers don't add up, but it said that this was a type of lie that couldn't last, like it was only gonna last for a certain amount of time. Then it was up. It wasn't gonna last forever. This lie couldn't last forever. That's the way it said it. Like, this lie couldn't last forever.
No lie can outlast the truth.
Go ahead.
No lie can outlast the truth. Here's something about people be saying, are we really in 2025? According to the Gregorian calendar, we are literally in 2025. Right? It's not the calendar, it's which calendar. Right? Because every calendar is based on a certain point in time that they established the calendar's point of origin. What are you measuring with your calendar?
Right.
Right? The Julian calendar and the Gregorian calendar is similar but different.
Right.
Right? But both of them is counting time from the alleged crucifix.
Right.
Right? Once you understand the crucifix story, and then you know the contemporary history, the only reasonable conclusion, and you know how to look up words.
Mm-hmm.
The only conclusion you can come to is that Cleopatra was Isis, and Isis is Jesus. And the story they're telling you is the Cleopatra story. And they got a story in the era, and whether it's true or not, I don't know. I wasn't there. But I can only recount the stories so you can understand how the narrative is being skewed. One of Cleopatra's daughters was allegedly arrested and paraded through town exactly as the Christ.
Wow.
Now, if that's true, and it's contemporary with the times, and that was the last throes of matriarchy, because the patriarchs didn't take over instantaneously. It was a long, drawn-out 4,000-year struggle, right? So if this is true about the story of Cleopatra, and they don't got Cleopatra tomb, and they don't got Jesus tomb, and we know Jesus in Greek is Isis, meaning they don't got Isis tomb, meaning they don't got Cleopatra tomb. Meaning, where is Cleopatra? In order to find Cleopatra, you discover Isis, and when you discover Isis, you realize that's how they know everybody claiming that Jesus was a fraud.
Right.
Because if you know who Jesus is, you know Jesus is the mother, and Emmanuel is Heru, the son. And that the people talking in the book in the red is not the same person.
Hey, yeah, I'm with you, Raw. I'm with you. I'm with you. I see how they switched it. It's a man thing, because they were more on, even over there and over there on that side with our people on that side. We was matriarch all over the land. It wasn't just over. It was our whole culture on the whole planet was matriarch. Since our Nana, since Anu passed it to our Nana, it's been matriarch ever since. So if you go over to Africa, I mean to Africa over there, where they say that, because really Alexander the Greek left from over here, but that's another story, because they found his tomb over in Illinois. They found Alexander the Greek tombs in Illinois. They cut the Freemasons covering it up, right?
You got to remember, you got to look up the meaning of the names because the meaning of the name Alexander is most likely a title more than a single individual. It's like the title of ISIS. You be listening to all these women who had these past life memories of being ISIS in Egypt. They all might be telling the truth depending on the era.
That's right. I can see that.
Right? So they all had an opportunity to hold the great mother seat because they was a great mother at the time.
Right.
Now, the same with this title of Osiris. Osiris just means the exalted father, Usir, right? And it's referenced by the Orion star constellation, which makes the children of the Usir the Orionos, children of Orion. But all of this stuff has changed over the millennia. And the hardest part for somebody with past life memories is to explain to you how it was changed and what was done to change it. Because the references is difficult to find because they still trying to bury history from the 60s.
Right.
Right? It's they burying, matter of fact, you got living historical figures. And they want us to believe one way about them, but when they arrested them, they was a political prisoner out the gate.
Right.
Right? Like Larry Hoover was never in there for actually committing a murder. They never said he killed nobody, ever.
Right.
But you had people running around saying Larry Hoover is a murderer.
Right.
He never killed nobody. Now, the next part of it is this. They never said he told nobody to kill nobody. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They said that because of who he was and his ability to influence, he don't have to tell the person to do it, that the person will follow that influence and do it on their own. That's what Larry Hoover was originally went to prison for.
Mm-hmm.
For being a figure that was so potent in our community that if somebody said they was going to do something to him, they got dealt with on the spot, whether Larry knew about it or not.
Right.
So therefore, if somebody did something that they can say he knew Larry Hoover, they could use that to railroad him into their system as a POW, as a political prisoner. We got to always remember warrant is a compound word consisting of two words, war and rant. They never issue a warrant on the group.
Right.
There's always one name on the warrant. On your paperwork when you go to court, it's never John Smith versus you.
Right.
It always say the people of the state of or the people of the United States. It's never